You are now entering the Horror Sanctum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John and TJ, and we received a gift today. Thanks to Screambox TV, we were sent a screener for Andrew Bowser's new film, Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. Sounds ridiculous, right? It's not. It's fantastic. We'll get there. It's a Screambox exclusive. It drops tomorrow, the 14th. It's if you don't have Screambox, why not? Go ahead and get it. You can download it on your iPhone, Android. It's available on Apple TV, Prime, Roku, YouTube, Samsung, Comcast, and Screambox.com. It's everywhere. It's super affordable. It's got some great exclusive content, and you get a 7-day free trial as well. So go ahead and get on that so you can watch this movie along with us, because it is a new movie. Now, I've been a giant Andrew Bowser fan for a while now. I think he's brilliant. And when I heard about him finally making this film, I was super excited. And then I found out that Barbara Crampton's going to be in it. Jeffrey Combs is going to be in it. Olivia Taylor-Dudley. So after I found all that, I was just over the moon. And all I could say was shut up and take my money, because I'm there. Like, I was there without that supporting cast, and then you put Barbara Crampton in there, which you guys know how I feel about her, Jeffrey Combs, and I love Olivia Taylor-Dudley, and she produced it and helped a lot with the making of the film too, which was cool. So again, we got the screener today. It comes out tomorrow on Screambox. If you're not familiar, the film revolves around Onyx the Fortuitous, who is struggling to find purpose with his soul-devouring side gig when he receives a coveted invitation to the mansion of his idol, Bartok the Great. Here he joins Bartok and his mysterious delegation to raise the spirit of an ancient demon for a once-in-a-lifetime ritual. We'll try our best not to give too much away with it technically coming out tomorrow. It did do one night in theaters. I don't think it's available for streaming anywhere until tomorrow. So if you've listened to us before, you know we're not good at spoilers. But we'll try our best. But just know spoilers are likely.
Yeah, so Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. It's quite a title. It just gets you automatically on the title. I really didn't think much about this movie initially, like hearing about it. I knew Andre just from social media. I'd seen him, and I'd seen the character of Onyx, and I liked it. It was funny. I think it had been around for like maybe 8 to 10 years. It's been around a while. And when I heard about the movie, I didn't see the trailer, but I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And I didn't really think much about it, didn't expect much. And watching it, I just was like, this is like the best. This is like my favorite horror film this year. It's really more like a comedy. It's definitely a horror comedy, and that's hard leaning, but there is horror in it. But it just works. The movie is kind of like a big love letter to like the 80s. Onyx is the best part of the film. He makes it. That character is absolutely what makes the movie. Every time he's on screen, like everything, he's just chewing the scenery, the lines. It's like that character is just, it works on every level. And I didn't know if it would. I mean, the runtime is 2 hours, but it really does work. And the story doesn't drag. It's an interesting plot, and it really does follow along. And I think by the end of it, you kind of see why he needed the full 2 hours to really make the movie that he wanted to make. Because a lot of times you see a 2-hour movie now, and you're just like, oh God. But this really, I think, needed it. Even from the beginning, I loved the homages. Like the very opening of the film, it kind of reminded me of Back to the Future with the kitchen and the stepdad Todd watching like an old black and white film, and he's laughing, kind of like George McFly. And then if you notice, there's this music in the film, like this, the score at the beginning, it has like a Huey Lewis Power of Love type sound to it in some of the parts. So you can hear and see all of the homages, right? This whole movie is filled with it. There's a whole scene that's like a parody of Meatloaf, which was awesome. The ritual chants throughout the movie that the villain gives Bartok is kind of like an homage to Child's Play 1, Charles Lee Ray, when he's putting himself in the doll. So many Easter eggs in this movie. And even where he works, I don't know why what does he call himself? The Patty Slinger. Like, his restaurant, something about the animation of the patty that's chasing him in the dream and all, it reminded me of Better Off Dead, because that's what happens in Better Off Dead. He has like a fever dream. He's in the restaurant, and so there's a lot of things in there that I homages. You can tell he's a fan of 80s stuff, right? And the movie itself has sort of like a vibe of like, it's kind of like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. It's that kind of vibe where you have this character that's very like eccentric and entertaining, and you're going along this ride for them. And his character, you could see him taking this character and being like a horror host with it, because it definitely has that sort of vibe to it. But yeah, there's so many things in this movie. It's almost like one of those things where you're watching it and you need multiple rewatches just to catch all of the things you're missing. Even there is a part in the movie, I'm trying to get out of spoilers, not give away too much, but there's little things like there's a scene where they go into a room and they're talking to a box demon. And I don't know if you guys thought this, but I immediately thought of the Boglins when I saw this thing.
Yeah, I felt that too. And that's Jason Marsden.
Okay.
Which I didn't know until the credits. Like, I was watching the credits, I'm like, oh, Jason Marsden did the voice of that, that was cool.
Yeah, it's there's so many, and the lines, I mean, my gosh, there's so many lines in this movie that are hilarious. The one, it was like when he was talking about the marshmallow fluff and he's trying to open the door, and he's talking about putting it on, like, I'm talking English muffins, I'm talking Pop-Tarts. He's
and like, burritos. I don't know.
Yeah. But in this movie is it really is filmed very well. The acting is good. There's the camera works great. There's even scenes in it that were emotional, even with him, like, kind of explaining his character. So I don't have much more to say about it, but it really kind of blew me away how much I liked it. It's an A+ for me.
It's one of the most quotable films I've seen in a very long time. And the emotional part is a big chunk of what I want to talk about. So after TJ, we'll get back around to that.
Yeah, John, I knew you would pick up on the that kind of almost Jimmy Hart WCW parody version of Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News, because it perfectly was just like a hair off from being just without the lyrics. The Power of Love song, which is great. But yeah, love letter to the 80s. So I didn't know anything about this character or who Andrew Bowser is or anything about this. I had just in the last couple of weeks been seeing advertisements through Screambox, because I had subscribed to Screambox, have for a while. That this is I think one of their first real original, like, feature-length films that they've greenlit and have kind of made, I guess, in-house, or I don't know if they made it and were in on the production side, or if they just bought it after it was made and made it an exclusive, because they have some things that are exclusive for a period of time to their platform, but then the licenses get on other platforms too. This, from my understanding, will always be just on Screambox because of whatever their deal was, because it's a Screambox original and exclusive. So whatever
I may be wrong, but I think they bought it. He did the Kickstarter and raised the money. I think they bought it from him for release.
Yeah, well, obviously they felt really good about it, because they're making this kind of one of their tentpole flagship. Ever since Blade Disgusting took over curating content, when Cinedigm bought Screambox out about a year ago, and then they kind of led off with Terrifier 2 being one of their first big branded things. I see the sky's the limit for Screambox and their original content and what they're going to be doing. And if this is any indication of what's to come, this and that amazing RoboCop documentary, which is like a 4-part, 6-hour plus long maybe the best documentary I've ever seen on just a singular film. Just because of how expansive in every aspect, from development to post-production and legacy, that thing is. I'm super jazzed about what's coming. And this film is, I knew nothing about this character. And it's great. It's basically like the horror comedy version of Borat, right? It's like you either believe in the character and you're along for the ride, or it's not your thing. And I could see some people thinking this was just a little overly campy and weird. But if this is your vibe, which it's a lot of horror fans' vibe, it's my vibe. I think it's all of our vibe. So, man, I think this is. And we just did a show on When Evil Lurks, which I said I think is the best made scary horror film of the year. I don't think anything's going to change that in the next couple months. However, I think this is the most rewatchable and fun horror film of the year, horror comedy. It's hard to call this a straight horror film, although there are horrific moments. There's some great special makeup effects. There's some good like optical effects and stuff with some of the magic stuff and like CG. It doesn't look like the cheap like Sci-Fi Channel original CG. The little bit of CG they do use to kind of spice up some stuff. It's a really well made film. Andrew Bowser, I'm going to be discovering who this guy is, and hopefully we can get him on the show at some point. And it'd be great to get him on in character. That would be right. That could be fun. But anyway, I apparently he's been doing this character for like 8 or 10 years. So now I got to go back into the annals of YouTube and discover more of this stuff, because everything I'm seeing is just pure comedy gold. And I gotta discover more of it. It reminds me of back in the MySpace days and the early YouTube days when I discovered there was something with a ninja that I got big into, like Ask a Ninja. Did anybody get into that?
I remember that, but I don't know that I ever got into it now.
I bought the DVDs of that thing because I loved it so much, and it was so obscure, and it was just a ridiculous character, just totally just living into the character and stuff like that. Like sometimes that just hits me right where I want to be, you know. It's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. But having said that, this guy, Andrew Bowser, he wrote and directed this thing. Looks like he got it off the ground and got it funded. And so this is a labor of love, and you can really tell the attention to detail and the story structure. Usually a horror comedy that goes past 90-ish minutes. This is about an hour and 50 minutes, I think, all done. But it doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. And like Jay said, it's probably one of the most quotable films of all time already. I've only seen it once. If this gets a physical release, I'm gonna get the Blu-ray, because this, especially if it has any good special features, because I want to see more about how they made this thing. And it does, spoiler alert, leave it open for a sequel, and I hope that they're able to have a lot of success with it with Screambox and Greenlight, and be able to be in on the productions and maybe make a series of these things, because I think they could totally every couple of years knock one of these things out. And that character could live in perpetuity. He could be 80 years old and just put on the voice and the robe or whatever, the hat, the fedora. As a former fedora lover that my wife made me get rid of, I appreciate a good commitment to the fedora for comedic purposes. But I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. I didn't know a whole lot about this character coming in. I love this character. Literally just about everything that comes out of Onyx's mouth is worth rewinding and repeating. And it could be a t-shirt. So many things popped me and made me laugh on this thing that I was not expecting. I thought this would be maybe just a little left of center, being a little too goofy, and I might not be in the mood for it. But even though I wasn't really in the mood for it, because I watched it really kind of in between trying to do work and stuff, and then I blocked 2 hours and this thing had me from the first 2 minute opening, and I was along for the ride. And I think a lot of people's going to be along for the ride. And what do you think, Jay?
So I loved it. Obviously, I've been excited about it for a while. I came across Andrew. There was a movie came out in 2010 called Jimmy Tupper versus the Goat Man of Bowie that he's in, where he's a drunk. His friends leave him in the woods, and then he claims he was attacked by this goat man. So it's him trying to catch this goat man. It was fantastic. So that turned me on to him early, and then his YouTube videos are funny. It's been especially funny with this release because he's been doing all these different takes. He even did his version of Hot Ones where he's doing the wing challenge himself, and he's feeding off of previous video footage of the host Sean, and he's like answering, like drinking milk and like pouring all this. Like, it's hilarious. I highly recommend it. He's a genius. I was like I said, it's been on my radar. It was only in theaters for one night, and I don't think it played around here. I may be wrong.
That must have been one of those Fathom event things, like Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, it was.
It was. Yeah.
So I've been itching to watch it. So I'm glad we got the screener. Screambox, thank you again. So it's a 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. That tells you how the audience feels about it. I think it's a 65 critic score, which is what I'm going to get into instead of talking about this movie at length and spoiling it for people, because this is truly something I want you to watch. If you're listening to this, I want you to watch this movie. And after I watched it the first time, I wanted to go back and watch it again because it's just so funny. And
this isn't shilling because we got into Screambox and they let us get a screener early, because we'd be as honest as we can be, and we might not shit on it quite as much as as we do on some episodes, but right. We would be honest. I think this is the best, most watchable horror movie I've watched this year.
I dare somebody to shit on it without it being something to do with the runtime, because even then at $1.50, I was still kind of wanting more, and I watched the credits to the end. Mm-hmm. It's one of the best horror comedies I've seen in a long time. When we think of horror comedy, we think of Tucker and Dale versus Evil, Beetlejuice,
Shaun of the Dead.
But to me, this
Ghostbusters.
This deserves to be named along with all those, if I'm being completely honest. And it just came out, and we just recorded an episode of When Evil Lurks. This is coming out. That episode's not out yet, but in that episode, I said When Evil Lurks is the best horror film of 2023. That was true until the next day. Today, when I watched this is number one with a bullet. And it's completely different. When Evil Lurks, I don't recommend everybody to watch it because you're probably not going to like it. This one, I highly recommend it. So going back to the reviews, this is what I jumped on the most. I was just doing a little bit of research on it, and I read some reviews, and I agree with most of them except one person. His name was Mike McGranahan, and he's from Aisle Seat, whatever that is. I assume it's an online movie review site. But this is what he said. He said, there isn't a single sincere moment. Bullshit, dude. Like, what movie were you watching?
The whole thing's sincere. It's just
the whole thing is sincere. And even from the get-go, because Onyx has a rough day at work, he comes home and he's praying to God or Satan, whoever is available, to get him out of this life because he hates his life. We feel his pain in the first 5-10 minutes. And this guy's saying there's not a single sincere moment. That was 100% sincere. I felt that because I've lived that myself.
Yeah, who hasn't been there with a shitty job at some point?
Yeah, and I've wished for a better life many times, and that was as sincere as you can get. There's other like kind of subtle sincere moments, but one of the big one that this guy somehow fucking went to take a dump when it happened was when he asked the box demon why his dad left. Mm-hmm. So one of the things about him, we can call him autistic. Like, he's 100% on the spectrum, this character. Whether Andrew is, I don't know, he may be. But this character is 100%. He talks funny, he talks fast, and he always says, I don't know. After like almost everything, he's like, I don't know. So he gets this box demon that's supposed to reveal to you your deepest fears, I think is what it was. And he says, why did my dad leave? And it goes to the flashback of his dad leaving, and he's like, why are you leaving? His dad's like, I don't know. That's heartbreaking, because that it's like if you're a Game of Thrones
I wasn't expecting like that moment of like emotional impact.
Yeah,
like 3/4 through the movie.
It wasn't set up for that at all. Like I think Kellen, he's not. We recorded this one early because we were just trying to fit it in on our schedule, so he's not here with us. but he sent us a quote like, "Why are all these goddamn spider webs at mouth length?" Because he kept walking in the spider webs and they would always go straight into his mouth. Like, and then it goes to this moment where, you know, his dad's leaving. Why are you leaving? I don't know. And then he has this tick the rest of his life. I don't know, you know, and it's like Hodor from Game of Thrones. Like Hodor was hold the door, and it slowly went to Hodor. So super emotional. So Mike McGranahan from Aisle Seat, go fuck yourself. Watch the movie again like a normal person and realize that it's full of sincere moments. That like truly pissed me off. And if you know me well enough, you know I have an addictive personality. This movie is going to fall into that. Like, I want everybody to watch it. I'm going to make Lindsay watch it. Like, she's probably not going to enjoy it because our humor is different. But I want everybody to watch it. I want my mom to watch it. Like, I just want everybody to watch this movie because it was so good from start to finish, and it was funny, and you can quote it all day, every day. I also like that they did a real demon, Abaddon, which is from the Book of Revelations. What was he was known as the Destroyer, Angel of the Abyss. Like, I enjoyed that. TJ takes like, I can't believe that was Jeffrey Combs. Like, I knew it was. He does look very unrecognizable until
you
he
can
speaks.
tell by
like,
the
oh,
voice, but this is the weirdest
Herbert West
I've
is
ever
in the
seen.
house.
Yeah.
Well, he's got
and
the bald and then the one eye.
Yeah. But he was fantastic. The whole cast was fantastic. The whole premise. You can follow him, Andrew, on YouTube, which I highly recommend doing that as well. He's got a bunch of little short videos leading up to this film release, including when he was doing the Kickstarter for it. And they're all super funny and original. One I just watched before we came on, he goes to Disneyland and tries to eat all the Halloween treats in 60 minutes. And he's like struggling, but it's so funny, and he's in character the whole time. So highly recommend it.
I don't believe him about the McDonald's pills either in that video.
But watch that one too. Like, if you've seen the videos where celebrities most Googled questions of themselves, he did one. Obviously, it's not real, but like the third question is, why does he fuck McDonald's Halloween buckets? And he's like, well, I don't do that. And then like the questions with that continue on, like, how does he know, you know, what to put inside of it to make it feel better if he doesn't do it? Blah, 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 blah. It's super funny. That's probably there was one with Pedro Pascal and his bestie that played Moon Knight. They did one together, and it was hilarious. Yeah. But very, very funny movie. It's streaming on Screambox tomorrow, August the 14th, Tuesday. November the 14th.
We're going back in time with Huey Lewis.
Back in time.
Hey, back to the future.
And again, 7-day free trial. There's no reason for you not to check this movie out. So we'll go around and do our rankings. I know we talk about like God tier, and Halloween's always going to be God tier. Halloween's always going to be number 1. And I gave When Evil Lurks 5, and I'll be damned, I'm going to give this one a 5 too. Because like I said, like there's very few occasions, I don't know, where I watch a movie and I want to rewatch it instantly. And I could have watched this movie all day today. I don't know. You know, I could have. And for me, and just the feeling it gave me, the enjoyment that I felt, you know, I have to go with 5. What about you, John?
Yeah, I can totally get that. I think this, and I would say that my favorite straight up horror film of the year was Sick, but horror comedies, I love this and I love Renfield. I do think this is better than Renfield, even though I love Renfield. I think this is a better movie. And that character is like, he's kind of like a modern version of like if Pee-wee or Ernest P. Worrell were out now. It's kind of like that vibe, right? It's like someone that could do TV, could do commercials, he could do movies. Like it's addicting, and you just everything. Like you were talking about earlier, the whole "Dear God" or the devil, like that. I still like that was like the funniest line to me in the whole movie. He's praying. But I think for me, there's room to grow with it. I don't think it's perfect, but it is awesome. I do love the movie. I think the only negative I could even point out in it maybe is just that without Onyx makes the movie, right? He is the glue to everything. And that's not a negative. It's just that like it's almost like when you're watching The Dark Knight, you're waiting for the Joker to come on the screen.
Well, it's like the Borat thing, right? It's like you're not going to have a Borat movie without Borat.
Right. So I would say for now, I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5. It's room to grow. I go in between, but I'm going to start at 4. And over time, who knows, it may go up.
TJ?
isn't 4 out of 5 what you said for When Evil Lurks too, John?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. So I think
you might have been 4.5 for that one.
Yeah,
may be wrong.
one of those.
4 or
It was
4
one of
and a
those.
half.
Yeah.
I was 4.5 on Evil Lurks,
Okay.
and I'm
Maybe
going
it's you.
4.5. If I rewatch this a few times, it could get up to 5, but I'm going 4.5 on Onyx, the Fortuitous, and the
So that's a
Talisman.
solid 4.5. And this is not kissing ass because Screambox was nice enough to send us a screener. Like,
No, if I didn't like it, I would say I didn't like it.
yeah, and
Same,
like you
a
said,
little bit.
when a physical release comes out, I don't care if it's bare bones. That's when we take a shot every time TJ says bare bones. On
Bare
DVD.
bones.
Bare
Even if it's
bones.
bare bones, I don't
Bare
give a shit.
bones.
Like, it's
Shudder
coming
is
home
the
with me.
king of bare bones releases.
Yes, they are.
There you go.
So before we wrap it up, when we were talking back and forth all day, there were 2 quotes that made me laugh. There were several quotes that made me laugh out loud, but 2 that I shared with you guys was one where he's like, "Oh fuck, she's a ghoul," and like he looks at the one of the shades, like it was just so quick and so funny. And then the other one was in the beginning where you had the little battle cats figures. And he's like, "God damn, I wanted that minifig so bad." Like that, just little things like that was just so funny.
And we were texting each other as we were all watching it. And
Yeah.
one that I had mentioned earlier was the only thing that's ever touched my wee wee is my never washed pair of battle cats underoos.
Oh, it was fantastic. And I'm pretty sure this was a fairly spoiler-free episode. So bravo, guys, give yourself a hand. This was a quick one, but that's okay. We all loved it. Go watch it. 4.5 on Screambox tomorrow, November 14th. So that's a wrap for this episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to wherever you're listening to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram. And if you have Amazon Music, check us out there. We have a playlist featuring music and artists from the episodes we've done so far. And go download Screambox. You won't be disappointed. I know TJ has it. I have it. I don't know if John has it or not, but I actually got it when it first came out. And it didn't really have that many great movies and things on it now, but it's blown up. And like, I think the only thing holding Shudder together is Joe Bob. If Joe Bob leaves, Shudder, it's done.
Yeah, Shudder's done.
I'm calling it. Within the next 5 years, they will piss off Joe Bob. Joe Bob won't be on Shudder. If Screambox TV could get Joe Bob, that would be like a coup of all coups. But Joe Bob or no Joe Bob, I think in the next 5 years, Screambox becomes #1 horror streaming service, just because Bloody Disgusting is doing a bang up job on curating their content. Look at the content they've added in the last year over there.
They got Terrifier, don't they? I think.
Yeah, that was their first like real original co-branded thing.
I just read a thing that said Hollywood pulled funding for Terrifier 3 because of the opening scene, which I assume is the trailer. I don't know how accurate that was. I didn't read the article, but I'll be interested to see if that happens or not. All right. Anyways, tomorrow, Screambox, 7-day free trial. Go watch it. This is what he looks like right here. And, send us quotes on Instagram. We'll respond back. All right. Signing off. I'm Jay with John and TJ. And until next time,
keep it spooky.